So how's your Lent going? Into the third week of Lent and giving up chocolate and cake frosting or swearing in traffic and those things, working on it. Okay. The Lord, Lent is much more than those kind of behaviors. Lent is about not just self-improvement, but about relationship improvement with the Lord. The Lord wants us to have an intimate relationship with Him personally and as people, not just for a Sunday, not just for Lent, but every day. The Lord wants that intimate relationship with us. This is wonderful. This is great news. We heard in the gospel the first week of Lent, the Lord made a covenant with Noah and Noah's Ark. The promise never again to destroy the world. We heard God made a promise with Abraham, a covenant with Abraham, to his descendants be as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sands in the seashore. And today we heard in the book of Exodus, the Lord made a covenant with the people and Moses. Lent's not a time for self-improvement, but for relationship improvement. When we say covenant, think of like marriage. Marriage, a man and woman promise one another to be faithful to one another in good times and bad, in sickness and health, all the days of their life. It's a promise, an unconditional promise, and a commitment to one another, unconditioned. And that's a covenant. That's a covenant. But to protect that covenant, that marriage, it has to have rules. There's rules to protect that marriage relationship. There's marriage rules for the women. Give him 15 minutes alone when he comes home. Good rule? Let him win. It's not the same thing as he's always right, no. Don't expect a lot of sympathy from your husband. Okay. And he can say anything about his family, but you can't. All right? So there's rules for women in marriage. Rules for men, married men. Put the toilet seat down. That's it for men. For the couple, never yell at each other unless the house is on fire. Never bring up mistakes of the past. Always ask, what's best for our marriage? When you're thinking about a job or move or sports or whatever, what are you going to eat out? What's best for our marriage? Put the marriage first. When you've done something wrong, admit it. Be a man, be a woman, admit it, ask for the forgiveness. No ultimatums ever. Date night is sacred. It's a great rule. So just lock up the kids and go out. Okay. Another rule for marriage, fool around with each other. Okay. Another marriage rule, no difficult conversations after 10 o'clock. Not only is it harder to solve problems when you're tired, but at least half the time being tired is the problem. And final marriage rule for a married couple, kiss goodnight for 6 seconds, because long kisses often lead to something better. So there's rules to protect the marriage and that marriage covenant, make it flourish. You see, love does not sustain the marriage sustains the love. Those rules keep the relationship alive and growing. And things like cohabiting, living together, they lead to more divorces, not better marriages, because you have an exit strategy. You've learned you don't have to have a commitment. You can depend on good feeling, good intention. You don't have that commitment to face the tough stuff. You don't have those rules to keep that relationship holy. So the rules protect the relationship. Same with the priesthood, being a priest. There's rules for being a priest. For my relationship with God, say your prayers. So I do. I pray an hour or two every day, whether I feel like it or not, whether I have time or not. I got to do it. And when I don't, everyone suffers. So I got to pray. Make a retreat. Beginning of last month, I did a 3-day retreat over San Pedro Retreat Center right here in Winter Park. How many of you all been there before? You guys, great. And they have these a few cabins back in the woods there, and it's a real great secret. What a great getaway. Maybe as a married couple to go, or need some time away from each other, go there. But it's little efficiency apartments in the woods, and just great silence and wonderful place to make a retreat. So I got rules for my relationship with God and with the people too. To smell like the sheep. My first pastor, Father Page, he said it and he did it. Go to every meeting. Like, really? Yes. It was a very busy parish. There was school. It had a school. Go to every classroom every week. Had to visit every classroom. Really? Yep. Go to every meeting. Every night he's out, just dropping in on meetings. He would go to every meeting. So I've tried to keep that rule, to smell like the sheep. Another pastor, Father Sean, he said, when you're making decisions, get everyone around the table who's involved. Get everyone who's affected. Get them around the table together. To have the great rules. Other rules for a priest: bless houses. Get lunch and dinner out of it. Great. So there's rules to being a priest too, to protect my relationship with God and the people. I've told you before, it's like a banana. A banana has a peel, and no one eats the peel, but it's absolutely necessary to have the banana peel to protect the banana fruit. Banana fruit without a peel, it's going to get smashed in Ecuador or in a ship or in the store or in a truck. It's not going to survive unless you have a peel to protect the banana fruit. And the banana he had for breakfast this morning, thank God for banana peels. Banana peels keep the fruit good. And the same way, those rules protect our relationships. Rules are good. They protect our relationships. So guess what? When it comes to our faith, that's why we have rules. To protect our relationship with God and His church, there's rules to make it grow and be holy. We heard in the first reading the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments. It begins without rules. It begins first, God saying, I, the Lord, am your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, that place of slavery. God introduced Himself to the people. They didn't know Him, but God knew them. And before they did anything for God, God did all this for them. He brought them out of slavery in Egypt, brought them to His holy mountain, and then introduced Himself to them. And He wanted this relationship, this covenant with His people, Israel, led by Moses. And so He said, I am the Lord your God. Therefore, here's the rules to protect that relationship. Therefore, there is no God besides me. Put me first. Put me first in all things. Do not take the Lord of the name in vain. It's more than not swearing, please. It means don't say you're a Christian and then if you're not going to act like one. Don't act in vain. Don't be a hypocrite in the name of the Lord. Don't say you belong to God and then act like you belong to work or school or health or money. And keep holy the Sabbath. Keep Sunday Mass. It's non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. So those are rules to protect our relationship with God right up front. And then the relationship next to the rules are to love one another as brother and sister, to build up the kingdom of God, honor your father and mother, tell the truth, do not steal, respect other people's property and what they have, and respect our bodies and our peoples. All those rules are so we live together as brothers and sisters, protect our relationship with God and with the church. And that's why they're called 10 Commandments, not the 10 suggestions. And if you break the commandments, we go to the sacrament of reconciliation. Last Thursday, just the other day, we had 18 priests here, 18 priests for confession. Wasn't that great? That's wonderful to receive God's pardon and peace. There's other penance liturgies in local parishes before Easter as something, what a great way to restore your relationship with God. But that's not really the problem for us. I mean, when I say us, you and me here, we're the church people. We know the rules. I mean, look at us. We're here. This is Sunday morning. We're not at the beach. We're not at Panera's having a long breakfast. We're here at Mass, and it's not always easy. We're pretty good at keeping the rules. We're pretty good at keeping the commandments. We abstain from meat on Fridays during Lent, maybe pray the rosary. So the danger is for us not to keep the commandments. It's a danger for us here is we don't keep the covenant. We can become rule keepers, drawing lines in the sand about who's in and who's out. I mean, who does she think she is, dressing like that for church? If they don't discipline their children, I have half a mind to do it myself. I haven't seen them lately. Maybe they've been at the beach, not at Mass. We judge ourselves by rules. I may have my faults, but at least I'm honest and call a spade a spade. I've worked hard for what I got, and I thank God for it every day. In the Bible, the commandment keepers were constantly at odds with Jesus. Jesus, the covenant keeper. And they meant well, but they missed the forest for the trees. And we know them as the Pharisees. You see, mercy is what Jesus demanded. Mercy is what Jesus brought. Keeping the covenant, and the rules are to keep it holy. So Jesus, rather than make new rules, new commandments, which our inner commandment keeper would love, our inner judge of others would love, Jesus went to the heart of the matter. He gave us not new rules, but a new banana. At that final meal with his disciples before he suffered and died to take away the sins of the world, crucified to the cross, Jesus took bread and broke it and took wine, a cup of wine, and said, "This is my blood, the blood of the new and eternal covenant." And he did give us some rules to protect this new covenant. Take and eat, take and drink, love one another as I love you. Do this in memory of me.